Hey, this is Bill with the Bill Heenan Real Estate team over at William Ravis, and today is Friday, May 30th, 2025. And for the record, this is the fourth take on this video, so hopefully I get it right this time. But perfection is the enemy of production. But I wanted to get out here. I'm in my new YouTube studio here in our new office at 132 Boston Post Road in East Lyme, Connecticut. Feel free to stop by, stop in. You see our cars out there. We always welcome and are happy to see you. But I wanted to get into a little bit of a market update as I promised last Friday, and talk a little bit about what went on this week and historically what's been going on in the marketplace in the last 6 weeks or so. So about 4 weeks ago, we had a boom of sales, and the numbers clearly indicate that. I kind of touched on it a little bit last week, where the absorption rate in certain towns in New London County was dropping. In other words, I think we were down to a 17 average day count on the market for any given house that's on the market right now. And that is a result of a lot of houses selling about 4 weeks ago. Matter of fact, if you look at the data from 60 days compared to the last 30 days, we've sold 80% more homes than we did the prior 30 days. Right now we have 761 homes under contract in New London and Middlesex County, and that's compared to 1,060 on the market. So, and the closed amount over the last 60 days has been 1,154 homes that have sold or are under contract in the last 30 days. So that tells you that most of the homes that have sold in the last 60 days have sold in the last 30 days. And we have a building seller's market that's favoring the seller's side more and more so. If you look at the overall absorption rate, how many days does the average home have to be on the market? It's about 27 days when you combine New London and Middlesex County. But that data is a little misleading, because when you take an overall look at the overall market, you're including upper end price ranges, $2, $3, $4+ million homes that typically take a lot longer to sell. Logically, there's not that many buyers in that price range. And also it throws it off on the lower end as well, because on the lower end, where the bulk of the buyers are, it's going to speed it up on the other end. So it really isn't a true look, but it does tell you a little bit about the health of the market overall. 27 days is a healthy seller's market. As you move closer and closer to 45 days on average being on the market, then you're moving more and more towards a balanced market. And remember, this is for the future. As the time on market starts to increase closer and closer to 60 days, it becomes more and more of a buyer's market. So, and just think about yourself. If you went and looked at a listing that has been on the market for 30 days, pushing 45 days, you're going to think there's some room to negotiate. And if there's been no price adjustments, you would be 100% correct. But if you go and look at a home that's been on the market for 10 days, 15 days, your realtor should be telling you that there's probably not a lot of room in that sales price in most cases, because it just went on the market. And the average sale is taken between 15 and 21 days in most cases, in most price ranges. So very interesting fact, a little bit of data that I like to pay attention to when trying to dialing into the health of a market. One other thing I wanted to check out too is the interest rates. How are the interest rates affecting us? And the rates actually had dipped about 4 weeks ago. Not much, but a little bit, quarter point, I think a third of a point, maybe 6.7, somewhere around there. Well, over the last 4 weeks, they've been climbing again, slowly but surely, and they're up at about 7%. And when I look at the rate over the last 7 days, I read an article a minute ago, and it said that the rates had ticked up 3 basis points. Now, what's a basis point? That's 1/100th of a percent. So it's not a lot of movement. That means it went from 7.03 to 7.06, which you wouldn't even really see that affect you in your payment or your overall interest schedule. But the idea, though, is that it ticked up, it didn't tick down. And we do seem to have rates that are trending higher. The other thing that I noticed is that the variable rates are probably about as high as I've seen them in a while. And that might give some indication that those mortgage investors, the people that are lending you the money to buy your homes, think that the rates are going to continue to tick up And that's why that variable rate is following schedule, and they don't want to they don't want to get caught, because generally those variable rates come from with a fixed time before they start to adjust, usually 2 years. So they don't want to give you a 4% rate on a variable rate when the rates start ticking higher. Then they're kind of caught out a little bit, and it's not very profitable for them at that point if they have to guarantee that rate for 2 years. So I have noticed that those variable rates are running a little higher than typical as well. So once again, if you are looking to answer any questions or have any questions for us, feel free to reach out to me or us on our website at www.thebillheenanteam.net. Or you could always hit that subscribe button on the lower corner of your screen there, and you'll be notified about any future content that we're about to drop. As a matter of fact, on that note, in the next day or so, we will be dropping a new 3-part series titled Home Equity Points, which is really a report that we talk about with new buyers about, why it's better to own than to rent. And it takes a look at the 4 equity points that we pay attention to, and clearly will show them that in the first 5 years, there's a lot of equity captured in a lot of different ways. And in those videos, we will be talking about each and every one of those points. So keep an eye on that. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll let you know when we drop that. Or you can always reach out to me on my cell phone at 860-460-8053. And once again, feel free to stop by 132 Boston Post Road in East Lyme. We always look forward to seeing you.